Hi, my name is Kayla Tatum, and I'm giving a speech on the evolution of the death penalty. The death penalty is defined as a punishment for someone who has illegally committed a capital crime. The death penalty was officially established in the 18th century, and during that time, there was about 25 different things that you could do to die for. So, yeah. To start a little bit earlier than that, in the 7th and the 14th century, it really wasn't established. It was more of a, if you committed a crime, you were killed. So anything that you did, for example, stealing a piece of bread, or even little things, maybe not even praying for one day, you could have gotten killed. Also in the 5th century is where they really developed how they would kill people, such as beating people, and also crucifixion, hanging someone from a cross was very popular as well. During the 10th century AD is when hanging became very popular in Britain. And with that being said, in the 11th century, when William the Conqueror was in rule, he decided that he was going to hang people, but he put a halt on it because they actually went into war. And he decided that he was not going to kill people that he could use for war and end up losing the war. However, the century after that, Henry VIII was in rule, and he decided that he would kill anyone. It didn't matter what crime you committed, anything that you did, he was going to kill you if he wanted to. And he killed actually 72,000 people. People were being killed for things such as marrying a Jew, not confessing crimes, and for treason. Nowadays, treason is pretty, punishable crime, but marrying a Jew, that's not a crime that's common at all. I mean, marrying a Jew, you can do it if you want to, so it's kind of crazy to think that you could be killed for that. By the 1700s, hanging once again became very, very popular in Britain, and it seems as if almost every single day someone was being killed or someone was dying, and people began to get tired of it. I mean, at that time, there was 222 different things that you could do that you could be killed for. So you could wake up in the morning and just decide, hey, I'm going to do this. That's my option. I'm just going to die today. As you know, when people get tired of things, they begin to reform. And they started to reform in 1823. And by 1837, Britain had took out 100 of the 222 things that you could do. So at that moment, you was only left with 122. So your options were very slim for what you could be killed for. As usual, America loves to follow, and so when Europeans came from Britain and they settled in the Americas, they decided to take upon that custom of the death penalty. And the first execution was actually of Captain Kennel in Jamestown in 1906, and that was because he was a spy for Spain. After that, the governor, Sir Thomas Dale, decided to create a thing called divine, moral, and martial, which were basically rules that if you broke, you were given death penalty for. And it had things such as cutting a tree down, stealing a grape, trading with the Indians. The death penalty laws vary depending upon what colony you were in. So, for example, in the Michigan colony, you could have been killed for hitting your parents, but in the Virginia colony, you could have been killed for not praying. Just like Britain started to reform, the Americas started to reform as well, and it started with Thomas Jefferson, who proposed a bill to change Virginia's death penalty rule, and he said that we should only have the death penalty rule if someone commits murder or if they commit treason. However, it didn't go through only because of the fact that just one person said no. However, by the 19th century, the abolishment of the death penalty became very popular in the Northeast, and by that time, the colony started to build jails. In 1834, Pennsylvania decided that it was inhumane to kill someone in front of everyone else, so they decided to kill somebody in correctional facilities. Also by that time, Michigan decided to abolish the death penalty altogether, and it didn't come exactly through until about 1846. A couple of years later, in 1907, that's when we got 6 states to completely eliminate the death penalty, and then we had 3 states who decided that we will only keep it if somebody murdered or committed treason. However, around World War I, it increased, and 5 of the 6 states that had abolished slavery, that had abolished the death penalty, brought it back, and that was because of class conflicts, and they felt as if that the upper class was controlling the lower class, and that was causing issues. So they decided to bring it back. Almost 40 years later is when the Supreme Court decided to get involved. The Supreme Court did not get involved because they said, we believe it is beyond presentability, which basically means that they cannot do anything. However, in 1972, they decided that it was inhumane to kill someone, and they decided that it was also unconstitutional as well. And that came about with the 2 cases, Furman versus Georgia and Jackson versus Georgia. And in those 2 cases, basically, people were said to have done something that would have gotten them killed, but decided that, hey, no, I'm not going to do this. I'm not just going to take my punishment and lay down. They actually stood up and they fought it. And now today, as you know, we do have a death penalty, but it's a certain way that it is carried out. It is more organized. Nowadays, if you commit a crime, first and foremost, you have to be found guilty. You also sit on death row for a couple of years, and then after that is when you are lethally injected, and then you are killed, which they see as more humane. So yeah.